guys? It's July 25th, 2024, and hope everybody's having a great day today. I'm on my front porch today because it's raining. I'm sure you could probably hear it, and you might hear some loud thunder here while I'm filming. I just heard two really loud clacks of thunder, and I figured let me go ahead and get today's video done before the storm comes in, and I can't film outside. So what I want to talk about today is that need to always take it too far. And if you're anything like I was, I just never knew any boundaries when I drank. Every single time that I drank, I always had to take it to that next level. I just didn't know. I never had any limitations. And I guess when I was younger, when I first started drinking, I did. And when I would get to that point, when I started to feel really intoxicated, I would kind of slow down or either stop. But as my drinking progressed, it just every single time that I drank, I always took it way too far. There were so many times that I would already be intoxicated and I would just keep going. And I mean, I'm talking about to the point where I was seeing double and had the hiccups, could barely walk, and would still pour myself another drink while I'm like that. And why that is, I don't know. I don't know why I always had to take it so far. Looking back on all the times that, that I would go to my family's house for a holiday or something like that, I was always over intoxicated. And just thinking about it this morning while I was, trying to come up with an idea for today's video and what I wanted to talk about, I was thinking about this topic and how I used to always take it too far. And I started thinking about how, back in the day, whenever we would have some kind of an event or something like that day, I would often start drinking in the morning. Well, I always drank in the morning. And I would tell myself, let's say it was Christmas Day, I would get up that morning, make myself a drink, to take the edge off and to help with the hangover, of course, the hair of the dog. And I would get up that morning and tell myself, okay, I'm only going to have a couple just to get through this hangover, and then I'm going to stop for the rest of the day, and then I'll drink again later on this afternoon. It never worked out like that, ever. I can think back so many Christmases, Thanksgivings, that I showed up and we would get over there 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon to meet up for Christmas or for Thanksgiving dinner with my family, and I would already be 3 sheets to the wind every single time. The last Christmas that I had with my family before I stopped drinking, I fell asleep in the middle of Christmas. And it's pretty embarrassing, and I still hear about that to this day. Sometimes it gets brought up because I went over to my parents' house, and my brother and his family showed up. We had all the nieces and nephews there, and between my brother and I, there are 6 grandchildren. And we got over there, and I probably wasn't there for 30 minutes, and we sat down on the couch to start opening presents, and I was asleep. And I woke up way later on in the day. I don't remember what time it was when we started opening presents, but it was probably somewhere around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe a little bit later, maybe 4. But I passed out, and when I woke up, it was like 8-9 o'clock at night or something like that. It was dark, and I had a pile of presents that was sitting in front of me for me to open, and I didn't open my Christmas presents with my family. So while my children were right there opening up their Christmas presents, my wife was opening up her presents, my brother and his family, everybody was opening up their presents, I was sitting there on the couch asleep, snoring in the middle of Christmas. The same thing had happened the Thanksgiving right before that. I got super intoxicated, and I've talked about this, but I've got a video from that day where we had gone on a hike in the woods with the kids, and I was sword fighting with a stick with one of my kids. I've got a video of it. I was so intoxicated. I mean, the look in my eyes, you could tell I just did not know what was going on during that period of time. I was not there. I was checked out. And I don't remember that day at all. I mean, I do not. being out on that walk. I remember showing up over to my parents' house that day and already being drunk. And of course, that night I showed my you know what at the dinner table, and that became a whole ordeal. And that happened often. I mean, it happened all the time. I would drink way too much, and I would just do stupid things. I would get in arguments with people. I would break things, just fall down. I just looked like an idiot. And looking back on it, that happened all the time. Birthday parties for my kids, I would be intoxicated at their birthday parties. And we would have friends over, family over, and I would always be drunk every single time. I remember one time that I went to one of my kids. They had like a play at their school, and I showed up to their play. I had gone out and had some drinks with some of my employees after we had gotten off work, and I knew that we had a function to go to at my kid's school that night, and I decided to go out and have some drinks with some of my employees. Got completely intoxicated and then showed up at my kid's school. I didn't show up there. I got a ride home and went with my wife, but I was drunk at my kid's school, completely intoxicated there. But the point of today's discussion is that I just never knew how to stop. I can remember so many times where I was already just gone, and my wife would go, "Are you seriously pouring yourself another drink?" And I would be in there, stumbling into the kitchen, pouring myself another drink, because I always had to get to that blackout point. I never could settle with just a nice buzz. That just was never enough for me. Now, when I was younger, maybe, yeah, it was fine with me back then, and I drank a lot of beer back then, and I would get a nice buzz and maybe chill out. But as my alcoholism progressed, as time went on, it started to increase more and more and more. And at first it started where I was blacking out maybe just on the weekends, and then it would get to where I was blacking out at night, and maybe a couple nights a week, and what just a weekend, maybe a couple of work nights I would black out. But as my alcoholism progressed, it got to the point where I was blacking out every single day. Every single day I blacked out. I could never remember anything from the night before, ever. I would have no recollection what had happened. And I've talked about this on here before, but there were so many mornings that I would wake up and my wife would be angry at me, and I would, go to tell her goodbye, and she would give me, that cold shoulder, and I knew I'd done something wrong the night before. I knew I'd totally screwed up, and I'd have to wait until, she had, was on her way to work, and I'd call her and say, what did I do this time? And I'd have to listen to her tell me about what I'd done the night before, and I had absolutely no recollection. And the worst part about it is that she could have told me I did anything, and I would have had no idea if she was telling me the truth or not. She could have said that I lit a stick of dynamite and blew something up, and it could have been true. I would not have known if that had happened or not, and that's scary. That fear that you get the next day when you wake up from blacking out, that is one of the biggest things I do not miss at all, is that anxiety and that fear the next day, waking up after blacking out. There were so many times that I would go downtown and go to the bar after work, and then the next morning I would wake up and I'd get a phone call from somebody, and they'd say, the first thing when I would answer the phone was, "Do you remember what you did last night?" And that feeling of my stomach just dropping to my feet and going, "No, I don't. What happened?" And then I would have to sit there with my heart about to beat out of my chest as they tell me what happened. I'm hanging on to every word as they tell me, and I'm like, "Just get to the point. Tell me what happened. What did I do?" I would get this whole story of, well, you did this and you did that, and now I just panic. I'd say, "Just get to the point. What did I do? What happened?" And they tell me, and I'd be like, "Well, that's not that big of a deal." Or it would be something that I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Did I really do that?" And then I would spend the rest of the day just agonizing over what had happened the night before and trying to piece the puzzle together, because I would have little teeny tiny little specks of memories that I could remember. I would remember maybe paying the bartender at the end of the night, and that's all I would remember. Or I remember like stumbling through downtown trying to get to somebody's car, or remember going into a gas station after I'd left the bar or something like that. I had these little brief memories, but I never could get the whole picture, and I'd be trying to piece this all together. My anxiety levels would be through the roof as I was worried about what had happened. And I just don't understand why I always had to take it to that point. I never knew any limitations, ever. And those were also the times, too, when, I would get totally drunk. And if somebody was passing something around, like, we were smoking, somebody was smoking something, and knowing darn good and well I should not have been doing that, because I was already completely drunk. Those would be the times that if somebody passed something to me, I would smoke something, and the next thing you know, it would just blast me off into outer space, and then I would get sick, and everything would start spinning, and I don't know why I always had to do that. I was already wasted drunk. Like, why did I have to take it to the next level? I've never understood why. I never knew any limitations. My drinking was completely and utterly out of control. I never had any kind of framework that I followed. It was just, whatever I felt like doing that day is what I did. So many days of going out to the river, and I'd head out there 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'd have a cooler full of beer. I'd be on the river in the sun and drinking those beers, and the next thing you know, we'd get off the river, and the first thing I'd do is start drinking liquor. And it'd be 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was seeing double already at that time of the day. And it would ruin my whole entire day. I mean, your day's over after that. You can't do anything else. And, majority of the time, what you would end up doing is just passing out. That's what I did. But, once again, I just don't understand why I always had to take it that far. How many of you guys out there were the same way? When you were completely wasted drunk. And, next thing you know, you're pouring yourself more shots. Or you're at the bar ordering, more shots, double shots, and taking, even though you were completely trashed and you're just still slamming shots down. Like, what was the purpose of that? I don't know. I was completely out of control. Completely. And I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with that anymore. So many mornings I would wake up and I would literally feel like I was about to die. My heart would be racing. My head would feel like it was about to split right down the middle. I would be throwing up. Couldn't eat anything. I just felt like death. And I would promise myself, I'm never going to do this to myself again. And by 10 o'clock that morning, I was already half lit. I was already 2-3 liquor drinks back in. And by that afternoon, by 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was already wasted drunk. I can look back and think about so many mornings where I wouldn't even get out of my bed. I had the day off. And the night before, I would just be, because of course, I owed it to myself because I was off the next day. I worked hard this week. So I deserved to drink this much tonight. And the night before my day off, I would just drink, as much as I wanted. And on those nights were the nights where I would drink like a half a gallon of vodka. Wake up the next morning, feeling completely horrible. And then I would just lay in the bed all day long with a liquor bottle right beside me. And I would pour myself drinks. I would have a glass of ice. I'd have my mixer right there beside me, like a bottle of Sprite or some cranberry juice, and my bottle of vodka. And I wouldn't even get up out of the bed anymore. I would just lay there and pour myself drinks and drink all day long by myself in the bed. And I can remember getting up out of the bed and like stumbling around the house and thinking to myself, it's not even 12 o'clock yet and I'm already trashed. Like, my day is completely done. There's nothing else I can do. And I already knew I was going to pass out, in not much time. And then wake up again. It's going to be 7, 8 o'clock again at night. And then I would start all over and do it again every single day. Man, I don't miss those days. And for any of you guys out there that have stopped drinking and you're on the sober journey right now, think back to those times when you used to overdrink as well. And you would let it get completely out of control. And if you were the type of person that was like me, and you'd already be wasted before noon, and the whole day was behind you at that point. There was nothing else you could get done, especially if you're like me. I'd have a whole list of things that I needed to get done for that day, and I wouldn't do it. I wasted so much time being hungover. So many things I could have been getting done. It just blows my mind every single day. I don't feel good a lot of the time. And I still get more done now than I did when I was a drinker and I was healthier than I am. I mean, it just blows me away. And when I look back now and I think about all the stuff that I could have been doing and things I could have been getting done and how much more productive I could have been back then, it just blows me away that I just wasted so much precious time. Because at the end of the day, time is precious, and we only have but so much time on this planet. And I wasted a bunch of mine away being drunk. And the thing that sucks about it more than anything else, I don't remember hardly any of it. All that time is gone, and I'll never get it back. So if you're sitting there today and you're starting to get those cravings, and those thoughts keep popping up in your mind, and you're like, man, I really would like to have a drink today. Think about that. Think about all the time that you've wasted as well. And think about how productive you've been since you've stopped drinking. Think about how much better you feel now. Do you really want to go back to all that time wasted? Do you really want to go back to people being upset with you again, not trusting you? Do you want to deal with all that guilt and that shame all over again? Because it comes along with it. That shameful feeling that you have no control over your life anymore, that the alcohol has full grasp over you, and you've lost complete control of everything. Do you really want to go through that all over again? And then go through having to stop drinking all over again and dealing with the whole week's worth of anxiety and cravings and withdrawal symptoms and all that stuff. If you have already gotten through that period of time, you don't want to have to go through that all over again. It's just not worth it. Those withdrawals are horrible. You guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, you can't do anything for that period of time while you're going through the withdrawals. I mean, I remember going through them many times. I would spend a whole week just laying in the bed, just trying to fight through it. So not only the time that I wasted being a drunk, but the time that I wasted trying to get myself back clean again, and I never was successful. I just kept trying, and I'd fall back off again. But the thing is that, like I was saying the other day, if you keep trying, and you keep relapsing or whatever, you're not a failure. As long as you keep trying, that's all that matters. As long as you keep picking yourself back up off the floor every single time that you fall down, that's the most important thing. Because this isn't easy. It really isn't. And I've talked about this so many times on here before, but I get cravings still to this day. And it's just one day at a time, and we have to fight through it one day at a time. I was just watching something this morning, and it was a little short little thing about Willie Nelson, and he was talking about, living in the present, and how he lives by that. Yesterday's gone, and we have no idea what's coming tomorrow. All we have is right now, in this present moment, and we have to live in this moment. It's so important. Just being present right now and being aware of what we're doing and not drinking today. There's only a couple more hours left in the day. All you gotta do is just make it through the day. If you can do that, you can wake up tomorrow morning and rinse and repeat. Do the same thing again tomorrow. But don't think too far into the future. Just make it through today. A couple more hours, guys. That's all you got to do. I know it's tough. Just hang in there. I believe in every single each one of you. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for today. I just wanted to talk about that. Like I said, I just had no boundaries. Every single time that I drank, I always took it to the extreme. I never was the type of person that could just have 1, 2, 3 liquor drinks. Every single time that I drank at least a half a bottle of vodka. At least. And beer. And shots. Every single time. I cannot think of a time that I just had a couple. It was either all or nothing. That's just the way I am. That's the way I'm programmed. But with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for today. I love you guys so much. And until tomorrow, I will see y'all then.